Someone doing real work on the ground, the man behind a powerful movement that's changing how we talk about menstrual health and dignity. That and much more coming up this Friday. First up, the top headlines. Everyone's talking AI, but now we're looking at AI ministers in some governments, stars being replaced by AI chatbots, Bollywood, Hollywood being hijacked slowly. Yes, we're going to talk about Albania in particular. It gets its first AI minister, the first ever in the world. Can an AI bot clean up government corruption? What does this mean for Bollywood, Hollywood going forward? With sharp reactions coming in from across the industry. And then we'll go across to our person of interest this morning who made talks and conversations around period normal in classrooms, across government offices. We'll talk about the science behind the pad bank. Ashray Seth's period revolution is the story we'll be decoding in just a few minutes from now. And well, thank God it's Friday. We've got the perfect weekend itinerary for you. Where to go, the best OTT and movie releases this Friday. Kaveri joins you with the lowdown. But first, the world is staring at a question that we all seem to ponder about. Can machines take over roles we once thought only humans could pursue? Big debates around this are taking center stage everywhere. Can an algorithm run a government? Are actors about to lose roles to digital clones? If not right away, perhaps in some years from now. And if your face is stolen online through a deep fake, who owns your identity? Let's start with Europe. Albania has just appointed an AI bot called Diela as a minister, the world's first AI minister. Its job is to handle government procurement and cut corruption. Supporters say a bot can't be bribed, but critics say, who do you hold accountable when something goes wrong? The software, the coder, or the prime minister? Now to Hollywood, an AI-generated actor called Tilly Norwood has been introduced to talent agencies. She never ages, never falls sick, never asks for pay. But Hollywood is furious. Emily Blunt has called it terrifying. Actors Union says this is not creativity, this is theft. Back home as well, the fight has entered the courts. Abhishek and Aishwarya Rai Bachchan have sued Google and YouTube in Delhi High Court. They filed hundreds of links where AI-generated videos use their likeness without consent. They want those taken down and a ban on their images being used to train AI models. This case could also in a way set a legal precedent on personality rights in India going forward. So where does India stand? On one hand, AI boosts productivity in governance, in healthcare, finance as well. On the other, it threatens jobs while also raising sustainability concerns because training one large model can emit as much carbon as 5 cars in their entire lifetime. Experts say India needs its own AI playbook, strict laws on deepfakes, strong data protection, mandatory disclosure when AI makes big decisions, and also homegrown models built in Indian languages. So the goal is to protect citizens without choking innovation. And then there's also the overlap between governance and entertainment. What do we mean by that? AI ministers may be symbolic, but they lack empathy and accountability. AI actors may cut costs, but they can't replace the spark that comes with human emotion. Globally, the trend is clear. Studios and brands are already using AI for de-aging, for resurrecting diseased actors, and for creating virtual influencers who attract millions of followers. Let's take you through some of these examples that will make this story relatable to you. Samuel L. Jackson was digitally made younger in Captain Marvel. Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, also Joe Pesci in The Irishman. 3 people we're talking about. Marvel has also done the same thing with Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, there's Kurt Russell, even Robert Downey Jr. All of these names you've heard of, have been used by AI, by this tech change we're seeing across, and in a very fascinating way. The dead have been brought back too. Peter Cushing Starkin in Rogue One, Harold Ramis in Ghostbusters, Paul Walker in Furious 7, Audrey Hepburn in a chocolate ad, Bruce Lee in a whiskey commercial, even James Dean was announced as a lead in a new film. All of this has also sparked an outrage, sparked a lot of fascination. There's also virtual celebrities. Remember Lil Miquela with millions of followers, brand deals, Emma from Japan fronting campaigns for IKEA, for Puma. There's Shudu Build as the world's first digital supermodel. Kyra is India's first virtual influencer. The list goes on and on. Who would have thought all this would slowly shift to pure AI movies, and now world leaders too, right? So what's right here? What's wrong? The must-do in the Indian context, we want to take that conversation forward this Friday morning. And to discuss this, take this conversation forward, joining us this morning are Vivek Kanchalia, director of Naisha, India's first AI feature film. He's going to be talking about his own experience and what the key takeaways were. Hi, good morning. Actor Omkar Kapoor is with us as well. He's going to be giving us a perspective from inside Bollywood. And Kanishk Agarwal, an AI expert and member of Forbes Tech Council. We are going to be going across to him for a wider tech understanding and what this means overall for India. Let's start with Vivek. Vivek, having worked with AI so closely, I do want to understand from you first what prompted you to take that course, to really get sailing on a way that's going to be full AI, full-on AI, purely AI, and move away from the conventional ways of directing a film.
So, firstly, it wasn't moving away from conventional direction. That's something that I'm still doing.
Okay.
But there are multiple scripts that, writers have, directors have. There are films which are not possible a lot of times because there are multiple layers to filmmaking. I mean, anyone who makes a film knows how difficult it is to get a film up. There are layers, there's money involved, there's studios involved, actors, putting them together. I mean, the first film that I did, Tikram, which is on JioStar, was thought of in 2009. It was shot in 2021, came out in 2024. So that's how much it took for me to get that film out, right? And I must be sitting with multiple stories. So if this makes it possible for more stories to come in, I don't think I don't think it is a replacement. I think it is an addition, because we are also not in a business where there's only a certain amount of demand, and there's only 10 soaps that a household will use, and if the 11th comes in, it is replacing the 10th soap. So we are in a space where people are constantly looking for more and more content. In fact, the demand is still not being met. So this, I think, opens up another avenue. Just like animation is, I mean, nobody says that Mickey Mouse replaced an actor, right? Nobody says Kung Fu Panda Po replaced an actor. So I think this is another level. This is another way of entertainment. It is something that is going to get added on to the entertainment space rather than as a replacement. I got into it because I again wanted to tell stories which I thought were not possible. I mean, there's a micro drama that we made which is on YouTube called Ulluman. The scale of it is not possible on a micro drama. The scale of it, I mean, it will be very difficult for me to get it made as a movie unless a big studio comes in, unless a big producer comes in. So yeah, I mean,
AI is all about opportunity, and I don't think any one of us here who are discussing this story is going to be able to say no to that. So it's a big opportunity, just that it must be used responsibly. That's the one but that comes with AI in every conversation around AI. Another question, and then I go across to Omkar to understand his view on this. But Vivek, before that, you need to tell us, what was it like working with synthetic actors? We have a real life actor here, but you need to tell us what the experience was like before that.
Right. I mean, it's very difficult. Directed actors on set. This is way closer to animation than to reality, where you're also assuming the role of the actor as a director. Because you are also, when I'm talking to say an Amit Syal on a set of Tikram, he brings in experience, he brings in his life experiences into the role, into the scene and everything. But like when you're doing it in animation, all you probably use is the voices of actors, but then you are trying to think what the actor would also do. So this was closer to doing something like that when I've done 2D animation or 3D animation. So it was me also trying to think what would an actor do in this scenario, and then putting those things into a prompt and then getting that kind of performance out.
Okay, lovely. Omkar, your thoughts there. Hollywood is fuming. There is a certain AI actor who has managed to anger a lot of celebrities because that actor is being pitched to talent agencies now. The story is not very different in India, but it's moving forward in a very different way. How do you see this playing out 10 years from now, and what's the response essentially been like from within the industry?
Good morning, firstly, everyone, and I agree to everyone out here because it is moving. It is something that's new to our country, and it is a double-edged sword. It does come with a lot of responsibility in terms of handling and in terms of executing it the way you want to. I don't know how far people so far have been successful in terms of getting the results they exactly want or they desire as a filmmaker or as a production house or a studio from the actors, from the AI actors that have been using. I mean, this is something. I mean, we all were in it for the creative aspect and for the love of the art in it. Now, I mean, there will be definitely certain amount of limitations when you do it through an AI actor,
Yeah.
and there will be a certain natural spark or a thing that a real actor brings to the table or brings to the screen. So, this is a wait and watch scene for the coming times for all of us, actually, that how far and how successful is the AI going to be. In fact, it should be used. I'm not at all saying that it shouldn't be used uh, for the effect of it. But maybe it will bring something amazingly different if you combine both, the real actors and the AI in it and create something magical out of it. You never know what and how a story, maybe a filmmaker writes a story where both of that is demanded and how you make them interact and how it becomes an entertaining experience for the audience. That is ultimately the target. So
Okay,
I
but is
think
there a fear, Omkar, somewhere that this would mean a few actors losing out on some key projects? Youngsters, newcomers, for instance, losing out on their big chance. If this were to become a phenomena that, let's say, is being witnessed in a
in
100% format. So, for instance, what Vivek has done in his feature film is being replicated in all big ticket movies. Every second movie is purely AI. What would that
correct.
scenario look like to you?
No, I feel things are going to coexist in a balanced way. I feel as far as I don't think so. Even the audience, forget about what we are trying to create. Even the audience is beyond a point. Won't be just habitual to we are not like a South Asian country where we are habitual to anime and all the just that's just our consumption of entertainment. Because I don't think so that's going to be the case where it's going to be replacing completely. It's going to be coexisting, is what I feel.
Okay, lovely. I do want to go across to Kanishk on that note because we're not just talking about AI actors, pure AI films. We're also looking at the first AI minister in Albania, and that has raised several eyebrows. Now, the logic that's been given by the government there is that this is going to end corruption, that you really cannot have an AI minister manipulate or play to the tricks, to the gallery. Kanishk, what are your thoughts there? Because critics, of course, have come out to say that how can you leave decision making at that level to an AI chatbot?
Yeah, I'm surprised by that move. Honestly, I think it's more theater than governance because an AI can process policy papers, but it can't feel the empathy or read a nation's pulse. So I think this AI minister is more like a symbolic appointment that signals innovation.
Would you call it a PR stunt?
Yeah, I think it's a PR stunt because governance is about judgment, empathy, and accountability. And that's the qualities that minister should have, right? So AI can serve as an advisor, not as a minister. It can analyze, simulate, and predict, but it cannot make value-based trade-offs that affect millions of people. So the true genius lies in integrating AI into government decision making, but with an human oversight. I think 2025 has been a very strange year where there are a lot of wars, a lot of conflicts that have happened globally, right? We can't trust an AI to take those decisions for millions of people.
So AI, for instance, being used in healthcare the way it is, in all of these fields that really need tech to come in and take over that space is a big yes. But solely leaving it to an AI minister, decision making being left to an AI minister is a red flag, is what you're saying, Kanishk. Okay, great. Vivek, can we then ask you about the experience you've had so far? We're not just talking about one feature film here. We're talking about multiple projects, multiple advertisements. You're working on some as we speak right now. Tell us about the human emotion here. Because AI actors, for instance, if we're talking about just AI actors, how do they pick on direction, on intuition? How much hand holding is required there? What more needs to be done to really have AI help the director or the filmmaker in this case be a tool where not so much of, hand holding is required? There's more that the director is able to make of AI as a tool.
Right. So yeah, I mean, quite a lot is required if you're just using AI as a final output. But I just wanted to add one more point that it's not always entirely AI. There are projects where we are using actors as in a capacity of motion control. These are theater actors who we would take performances out of and then put onto those characters that we would want to put. So when you need that kind of control where every move is absolutely deliberate, every turn is deliberate, every blink of an eye is deliberate, we do still use just like how it's the hybrid that he was talking about just now. So there is an hybrid approach in that happens. Otherwise, I mean, you're trying in your prompt, like how sometimes on an advertising set, when you try and go in detail, that you want an actor to step onto a mark, pick the light, look in a certain way, and say the words. You are then trying to do that in your prompt. You're directing the AI to give you that kind of an output on an image, and then the actor performs like that. But yeah, I mean, AI is still not there in terms of the final output, where it's going there very, very fast and it's reaching there very, very fast. But like Omkar said, I think there's a way of a hybrid production where we would be using actors, we would be combining both and getting the best final output. Otherwise, yeah, it is as detailed as when you're talking to an actor. Sometimes, sometimes actually it's very strange that, sometimes it does happen like that. Some actors, when they get very little instruction and give out a lot of performance, that also happens on AI. Sometimes you're surprised that you've written only so much, but it is interpreted and given you something. Most of the time it's wrong, and you have to do 20 iterations to get one shot right. But yeah, I mean it's like that only. So yeah, it's a lot of trial and error at this point. But yeah, it's getting there very, very fast.
And the fusion is what everyone's spoken of already. So the three of you are recommending a fusion of human genius and artificial intelligence. Omkar, Emily Blunt says that digital actors are terrifying. This whole concept is terrifying. Would you agree to that thought, that sentiment? A lot of Hollywood, Bollywood actors have come out to say that this is going to dent creativity, and that's one of the biggest takeaways of why people go and watch a film. That's the experience that they're going for.
Well, yes, absolutely. I think for the first time in our country, when all of us had seen an AI made effect or any image or a video, we all were surprised to the core too, because it felt real, but it felt fake, but we didn't know how to process it, right? But at the same time, yes, it can be tricky the way it is, executed. You can you make them say, or they can feel real, but they might sound not real to you. It is a very, very tricky spot currently, and as Vivek said, it's in the making. And definitely, it is terrifying, especially when it's misused all over the world across. We've heard stories of deepfakes coming out from the political world to the entertainment world too. So it's. I mean, I think it's going to be it should be licensed in a certain way and taken a certain documentation to kind of take it ahead, like copyright and other. I'm sure that's going to be the process as it seeps into our day-to-day life.
But how worrying is that, Omkar? Now, for instance, the Bachchans is the latest case. They're taking to courts to fight it. Asha Bhosle ji in the latest has found some relief from the courts in protecting her personality rights. But to an actor, having come across something wherein you were actually not there and it has been replicated in a very dangerous way, what's the first thought that crosses your mind?
Obviously, I think it's pretty scary to if you come to know that your identity or someone has represented you in a certain manner, which is not a responsible way to the world, especially for the celebrities, where there is a certain amount of public liking that's already there, where there's a certain fan following that's already there, and suddenly when even in the political world, probably, so people look up to you, and when AI generated video is made to do some mischief or whatever, and when it's irresponsible, obviously the backlash is there, and then you obviously you're supposed to be responsible to kind of correct it and immediately take down the consequences of it. So yes, it is extremely responsible thing that we need to be all, whoever is making it, especially, so it's good to have that identity copyright for each and every celebrity. I think it's going to be a license of AI that you should be providing as celebrities to anyone who wants to use it. That's the way to go about it, because otherwise this can go anywhere.
And that's going to take some time, given how rapidly technology is changing.
Exactly.
And given the strength and the population of our country and how large, magnified Bollywood in itself is. Kanishk, can I then come to you and ask you one question, which is also going to help us deep dive into the legal aspects of this story. So, for instance, Bruce Willis licensing his likeness. There are Hollywood actors who've signed up for this, who say that, yes, we are agreeing to let you take our face, use that as an identity wherever you want. This can happen post our demise too. Would you say that is a right precedent being set, or would you see that as dangerous?
No, I don't see that as dangerous. I think that's a good approach, because for an actor or for an artist, the voice, the face, the way they bring cinema to life, right? It's their IP, and that IP needs to be protected. So if they are licensing it and then giving that license to be used, so it's creating a business model innovation where there is a new generation of revenue that an actor can make, from reusing it from an AI perspective. So yes, I think licensing is the way forward, and I think it's important because the actor or the artist is giving the consent that they can use their data, their face, their voice, and then the likelihood of having deepfakes and the misuse of that likeness will get reduced. So I think it is more around how they're protecting their data, and they are able to then build their context on the emotion side and how they deliver the text contextual data. I think that is important. So I think it will help in bringing more innovation. And I think earlier one of the guests was mentioning about that there are so many projects, and they're not able to handle all those projects. So they need that convergence of AI into these projects. So then it will be influx of a lot of entertainment as well for the audience. So I think it's all on the good side.
It's all on the good side, minus appointing AI ministers, right, Kanish? Because what do you do? Who do you pull up the moment a decision goes wrong? A wrong decision's made that's cost the country a couple of bucks, something on a geopolitical level perhaps that's gone wrong. Who is going to take accountability? So going forward, what I'm trying to ask you is that, do we need proper rules in place, and this is going to have to fall under the ambit of law on what's acceptable, what's going to be the correct way to go about it? If at all there's an AI model that's going to get into governance, there are going to be do's and don'ts to it, which is currently lacking. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I think it's very important to have an AI regulation in place. I think these regulations should not be like a seat belt. It should be like a seat belt, but not like a speed breaker. So first of all, I think ethical guardrails are important. That there is content-based use of personal data. There should be strict rules against deepfakes and misuse of likeness. Then it's very important from an India standpoint that there should be an accountability framework. there should be mandatory disclosures that when AI is making critical decisions, and whether it's across industries, whether it's in healthcare, it's in finance, or law enforcement, or being the AI minister, it's very important as well that we have to build the skill. So reskilling at scale is very important from an India standpoint. So I think there has to be a national program that prepare millions for AI-driven work, bring them, also train the audience to understand that this is AI-driven work. And data protection is something which is very important. I think that's the baseline, because we need to fast track the India's Digital Personal Data Protection Act, which has been in the draft stage from last 2 years.
Okay.
So by using all of this, I think if we make our AI governance right, I think we won't just be adopters, but I think we will stand the standard for the world.
Okay, one last question. I have 1 last minute, so just 15-20 seconds to each of you. What are your biggest hopes and biggest fears around this kind of a tech integration across all domains? So in Bollywood, for instance, in governance and overall. Vivek, let's start with you. Biggest hope, biggest fear.
Okay, biggest hope is that, we have hundreds of Rajkumar Hiranis and Vishal Bhardwajes coming out of all parts of India who would otherwise not get a chance to tell their story, make their film. And the biggest fear is the misuse of power, because power is power. It is neither positive nor negative. It is in the hands of the people who use it. Like Superman is Superman because his parents raised him that way, right? So I mean, now the ethics of the country actually comes into play. Our personal ethics come into play.
Okay.
And my biggest fear is that this turns into something which we regret.
But power is misused by humans as well. So that's a dangerous territory. Okay,
Yes.
Omkar, quickly.
Well, yeah, rightly said, because it's, like I said before, it's a double-edged sword. So yes, on a good note, I hope it does add to the entertainment value of it. I hope it does make setting up projects or creating movies or any kind of project easily, because there is a certain amount of freedom also you get with an AI to create a certain, a certain spectacle that you will not be able to do it with a certain amount of budget that new filmmakers get. So in fact, it's good for them. The fear, obviously, is going to be that how it's going to be. In fact, I'm waiting and watching that how our country adapts and accepts the response towards it, towards more AI films that we will see. And whether I want to see actually from the audience's point of view that whether they like it or whether they accept it as equally, or they say, no, this is not something that connects with us, or does it resonate emotionally with an emotional audience like India? So, or do they accept it, or they say, no, we want our normal, regular films with real people in it. So that's something that is...
And here's to possibly also hoping, speaking from an actor's point of view, that more and more Bahubalis are happening and actors are being able to be part of such huge, large projects. Thank you so much, Kanishk. We're running out of time, but you've already summed up the story for us and what needs to be done moving forward. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning on The Breakfast Club. With that, we head into a very quick break. Coming up next, we are going to be shifting our focus to a person of interest this morning, a man who's making conversations around periods in the classrooms a norm. He's also talked about the science behind the pad bank and how he's made these vending machines distributing menstrual pads very, very easy on the pocket. We'll be right back with that all-important voice.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
संघ के कार्य के 100 वर्ष पूरे करने वाले और इस निमित्त वर्षभर संघ ने जो कार्यक्रम आयोजित किए हैं उनका सूत्रपात करने वाले इस विजयादशमी उत्सव के निमित्त हम सब एकत्रित लोगों के बीच में आज के हमारे प्रमुख अतिथि महोदय, भूतपूर्व राष्ट्रपति जी, आदरणीय रामनाथ जी कोविंद, विदर्भ प्रांत के माननीय संघ चालक जी, माननीय सहसंघ चालक जी, नागपुर महानगर के संघ चालक जी, उपस्थित अन्य अधिकारी वर्ग, परम श्रद्धेय संतवृंद, आत्मीय स्वयंसेवक बंधु, नागरिक सज्जन एवं माता भगिनी, यह वर्ष श्री गुरु तेग बहादुर जी के बलिदान का 350वां वर्ष इस नाते और संपन्न होगा। हिंद की चादर बनकर जिन्होंने अत्याचार, अन्याय और सांप्रदायिक भेदभाव से समाज के मुक्ति के लिए अपना सर्वोच्च बलिदान दिया, समाज की रक्षा की, ऐसी एक विभूति, उसका स्मरण इस वर्ष होगा। आज 2 अक्टूबर है, इसलिए स्वर्गीय महात्मा गांधी जी की भी जयंती है। अपने स्वातंत्र्य की लड़ाई में उनका योगदान तो अविस्मरणीय है, परंतु स्वतंत्रता के बाद भारत कैसा हो, भारत का जीवन किस प्रकार के तंत्र से चले, उसके बारे में विचार देने वाले हमारे जो उस समय के दार्शनिक नेता थे, उनमें उनका स्थान अग्रणी है। हिंद स्वराज में उन्होंने वह चित्र का रेखांकन किया है और सादगी, विनम्रता और प्रामाणिकता के प्रतीक, और जिन्होंने देश के लिए अपने प्राण अर्पण किए, ऐसे स्वर्गीय लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी, उनकी भी आज जयंती है। भक्ति, समर्पण और देश सेवा के ये उत्तुंग उदाहरण व्यक्तिगत और राष्ट्रीय चारित्र कैसा होना चाहिए, इसके आदर्श हमको मार्गदर्शन करते हैं। और आज की परिस्थिति का अगर हम विचार करते हैं तो हमारे ध्यान में आता है कि यह परिस्थिति भी हमसे इसी प्रकार के जीवन की अपेक्षा कर रही है। परिस्थिति एक सी नहीं होती, अनेक रंगों की होती है। तो परिस्थिति में बहुत कुछ अच्छा है, इसलिए बीता कालावधि 1 वर्ष का हमारी आशाएं और विश्वासों को भी दृढ़ करता है, और हमारे सामने पुरानी और नई जो चुनौतियां उपस्थित है, उनको अधिक स्पष्ट करने वाला भी वही कालावधि है। जैसे प्रयागराज में एक विशाल महाकुंभ हुआ, आधुनिक व्यवस्थापन के सारे कीर्तिमान तोड़कर एक जागतिक विक्रम तो उसने प्रस्थापित किया ही, लेकिन संपूर्ण भारत में श्रद्धा और एकात्मता की एक लहर उसने दौड़ा दी। पिछले साल एक दुर्घटना पहलगाम की भी हुई, हमला हुआ सीमा पार के आतंकियों के द्वारा, 26 भारतीय नागरिकों की उनका धर्म पूछकर हत्या की। लेकिन उसके चलते सारे देश में प्रचंड दुख और क्रोध की लहर पैदा हुई। पूरी तैयारी करके सरकार ने, हमारी सेना ने उसका बहुत पुरजोर उत्तर दिया। सारे प्रकरण में हमारी नेतृत्व की दृढ़ता, हमारी सेना का शौर्य, कौशल्य और समाज की एकता और दृढ़ता का एक उत्तम चित्र प्रस्थापित हुआ। और यह भी वह घटना हमको सिखा गई कि यद्यपि हम सबके प्रति मित्र भाव रखते हैं और रखेंगे, फिर भी अपने सुरक्षा के विषय में हमको अधिकाधिक सजग रहना पड़ेगा, समर्थ बनना पड़ेगा। क्योंकि इस घटना के बाद दुनिया में विभिन्न देशों ने अपनी अपनी जो भूमिका ली, उसमें हमारी ये भी ध्यान में आया कि हमारे मित्र कौन कौन है और कहां तक है। देश के अंदर भी अशांति फैलाने वाले असंवैधानिक उग्रवादी या संविधान विरोधी कहिए उग्रवादी नक्सली आंदोलन पर शासन और प्रशासन की दृढ़ कार्रवाई भी हुई और उनके अनुभव से उनके विचारधारा का खोखलापन और उनकी क्रूरता का अनुभव होने के कारण समाज भी उनसे मोहभंग होकर विमुख हो गया। लेकिन उनका नियंत्रण तो हो जाएगा, परंतु अब ये उस क्षेत्र में एक बड़ी जो बाधा थी वो दूर होने के बाद उस क्षेत्र में न्याय की स्थापना हो, विकास वहां तक पहुंचे, सद्भावना, संवेदना और सामरस्य वहां स्थापित हो, इसके लिए समाज की भी और शासन प्रशासन की भी योजनाएं
Welcome back. We now return with our person of interest this morning. We're joined by someone who decided to take on a subject most men stay silent about: periods. Ashray Seth is the founder of Happy Periods, a not-for-profit that has built India's most affordable sanitary pad vending machines. His work today helps over 50,000 girls stay in school and gives access to menstrual products to nearly 90,000 women. He joins us live. Good morning, Ashray. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for taking out the time.
Morning, Prithvi. So lovely to be here. Thank you very much for getting me on the show.
We're so happy we're doing this and really leaving our viewers, our audiences with this positive story, right before the weekend starts. So tell us, Ashray, give us a little bit of a Friday inspiration. Tell us what got you thinking about this issue. And you thought so much more needs to be done. And more importantly, men need to be ally in this larger conversation and larger mission.
Yes, I think one of the things that stood out for me and how I got into this space is basically, coming from a middle class family, we've seen how these stereotypes related to menstrual health are very much stigmatized and are rooted in your families. So I've seen, my family members, a lot of my family members who are menstruators and, they're not entering the kitchen during certain days of the month, they're not going to the temple. And things like these I have started noticing when I was 10 or 12. And it stayed with me, and you don't really get answers to these. Your family members are not answering you exactly what's happening. You don't study all these things in your classroom. So there's a huge gap. And this kept me intrigued. So when I started working, at the age of 19, I started a lot of volunteering. I started working with the government very closely with the education system in India. I realized that this is not just a 2 people problem in my household. It's actually a 1 in 4 problem in India. And around 500 million women don't have access to clean period products. So I think that's how I just got into this space, of menstrual health. And it's so important to have men and boys as allies in this space, because this is not just about women and girls. It's also about how men and boys are being better allies to supporting women and girls around themselves.
Okay, lovely. Ashray, now tell us about those three magical wands that you've come up with, the 3 big initiatives that you're working on with your heart and soul, the vending machines, of course, how you've made them affordable, what kind of access are we looking at as we speak, menstrual cups, and also, very interestingly, a curriculum around menstrual health. What is the success there? Tell us a little bit about these 3 initiatives.
Yes, thank you. So I think specifically the vending machine came in first. This was around 21, 22 during COVID time. We were actively advocating to have spaces period friendly. And when I say period friendly, we need to have access to clean period products, irrespective of the space where we are, and whether it's a public space, whether it's an educational space, or whether it's, a government office, a private office. The idea is, how do we make these period products more affordable and accessible to people? In 21-22, when I started working on these innovations, being a science nerd, realized that the vending machines in India costed around 10,000 rupees, which is not actually affordable for a government school in India to, install those vending machines. That's how it just, gets down in the priority list. So yeah, I took matter in my own hands, built one of India's most affordable sanitary pad vending machines, and got their cost from 10,000 rupees to 2,500 rupees. And we installed them around 250, 260 schools, making sure that girls in schools have access to clean period products every month, and they don't have to choose between the classroom, the school, or their periods. So they both can go hand by hand. The another intervention that came into picture was the menstrual curriculum. I have a copy of it right here. It's called Mahavari Mitra, or your menstrual ally. It gives you all the answers. So the answers are, what is puberty, how your body changes, what is menstrual cycle, what is menstrual health, what kind of period products are available, what kind of stereotypes, what kind of taboos are related to, menstrual health, debunking all those myths and making sure that you're taking care of your body during those 3 to 5 days, whatever. There's also yoga exercises included. There's also nutrition included. So it's basically like a holistical, provide the understanding of what menstrual health and hygiene is. And we've reached out to around 300,000 adolescents, both boys and girls, learning from this menstrual curriculum. And the third thing is I could talk about is the menstrual cup. So the menstrual cup is basically one of the most brilliant innovations, I would say, for women, girls, and people who menstruate, is because this little thing is very affordable. It will cost you approximately 200 rupees. It is very accessible. It is sustainable. You can use this cup to up to easily 6 to 8 years, depending on how it's like 100% medical grade silicone which is used. The only important thing to this one is you need to have access to clean water. You need to have access to wash facilities. Otherwise, it will do more harm than good. So menstrual cup is one of the best innovations that we've been trying to promote. Menstrual cups, menstrual curriculum, vending machines across schools, communities, and through policy as well.
Okay, Ashray, tell us a little bit about the challenging days right at the beginning of this thought materializing into something bigger, the initiative that you came up with. What were the initial challenges? How you started with how many people, and tell us about the current size of your team. So give us an overview, the growth you've seen the last few years.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's one of the important things. I always reflect back to it. We started as a 2-people, team sitting on exactly like a breakfast conversation, having, how do we do this? This is a big thing that we've come across. I remember it was 2015, 2016 when there is a new report came out. It stated that 23 million girls drop out of school every year at MENARC. And that, shook us that it's a huge number, like 23 million girls only in India. And I think that's where it all started. The conversation started, and by 2020, I've mobilized a whole lot of more people. I mean, when I say whole lot of, it's like 5 people. And then now we've got around 10 people in the team. So yeah, it's a good journey. Initial challenges were really difficult because the 2 people I'm talking about were both men. So having conversations like menstrual health, menstrual equity in with girls, with women, is anywhere taboo. Right? So a lot of people were not getting comfortable, talking to us. Even when we were talking in the government spaces, when we were talking in the leadership across government, in schools, they were very hesitant to talk about some of these issues. That why, as a man, that we are coming to this space. But I think when we just made ourselves familiar, made ourselves comfortable in this space through our work, through our innovations, through our understanding of this whole ecosystem, I think that's when it made people more comfortable about talk to us. And that's how it started with 5 people, impacting 5 people in the nearby community to close to 500,000 people that we continue to help.
And have you seen people respond any different? So you're talking about the unease, the hesitance that came with each of those conversations right at the beginning, when you perhaps went ahead with your proposal. The moment you tabled it, people were like, okay, you're a man, why are you doing this? Has that changed? Are people warming up to the idea? The last 5-6 years, do you feel a sense of content the moment you see people's expression change or them being more easy with you while holding these conversations?
Yes, I think a lot of things have changed. I mean, I won't. I'm very positive, to be in this space, because in the last 6 to 7 years, I think a whole lot of things have changed. Like there's more advocacy around it. There's more conversations around it. It's not just Happy Period who's working in this space. There are a whole lot of non-profits in India who are working in this space. Spearheading some of those conversations, those difficult conversations with men and boys who are in power, those women and girls, and making them understand how it is so important. So yeah, I mean, a lot has changed. I can tell you about one instance when in the initial days when I was talking to this one principal, who was probably a 50-year-old man who's been in that space, and you're talking about how a menstrual vending machine is so important in the school, and it was all girls schools, 300 girls studying in that school, and he was like, why do we need this? Why do we need a vending machine? Why do we need to talk about menstrual health? And I'm saying menstrual health at this point, like he was not even talking about, he was not able to say the word. So from that hesitance of not even saying a word, to an extent where we are able to, bring people in those conversations, I think it has been a good journey, and I think it has changed a lot.
Okay, and we'll leave on this positive note. We want to understand from you your vision, let's say, in the next 10 years. And why we're calling it Friday Inspiration is also because it's not as though you're doing this alone. Ashray, you have a full-time job alongside, but you decided to step in, really make a difference in this sphere. So tell us, what is it that you're going to, are you going to fully step into this? What are the next 10 years going to look like?
I think for me, I've always been in the dilemma of, should I do this full time? But I think it's sort of full time for me. I'm spending like 30 hours a week on this. I've built this community just to purely not for profit. So all the 10 people who I've mentioned who work with us in the organization, they work on different platforms. They make their living out of that. But we meet at this platform for pure social work, and the idea for the next 10 years is I really feel that I'm able to mobilize more people, like the team that I have built, maybe 10 to 10,000. How do we bring in more like-minded people who are just there for completely not for profit? They're able to give out their time. They're able to give out their skills to some of this work. And I really hope to end period poverty. I mean, the target was 2030 to achieve a lot of sustainable development goals, but I mean, the way it's progressing, how COVID impacted, a lot of those things has impacted. Not sure if it be able to achieve 2030, but really hope, in 10 years time, we are able to make sure that all 500 million women and girls and people who menstruate around the globe who don't have access to clean period products have access to clean period products. And no girl on earth is leaving, has to choose between a classroom and a period product.
That's such a noble thought, Ashray. Thank you so much for just carrying that thought forward, for ensuring that thought translates into action and making sure that menstrual health becomes affordable, becomes more accessible, and here's to hoping more success for you the next few years. Thank you for that wonderful conversation and sharing your story with us. That's all we could pack for you. For now, we head into a very short break. Lots of special reports lined up when we return, so keep watching.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
संघ के कार्य के 100 वर्ष पूरे करने वाले और इस निमित्त वर्षभर संघ ने जो कार्यक्रम आयोजित किए हैं, उनका सूत्रपात करने वाले इस विजयादशमी उत्सव के निमित्त हम सब एकत्रित लोगों के बीच में आज के हमारे प्रमुख अतिथि महोदय, भूतपूर्व राष्ट्रपति जी, आदरणीय रामनाथ जी कोविंद, विदर्भ प्रांत के माननीय संघ चालक जी, माननीय सहसंघ चालक जी, नागपुर महानगर के संघ चालक जी, उपस्थित अन्य अधिकारी वर्ग, परम श्रद्धेय संतवृंद, आत्मीय स्वयंसेवक बंधु, नागरिक सज्जन एवं माता भगिनी, यह वर्ष श्री गुरु तेग बहादुर जी के बलिदान का 350वां वर्ष इस नाते और संपन्न होगा। हिंद की चादर बनकर जिन्होंने अत्याचार, अन्याय और सांप्रदायिक भेदभाव से समाज के मुक्ति के लिए अपना सर्वोच्च बलिदान दिया, समाज की रक्षा की, ऐसी एक विभूति, उसका स्मरण इस वर्ष होगा। आज 2 अक्टूबर है, इसलिए स्वर्गीय महात्मा गांधी जी की भी जयंती है। अपने स्वातंत्र्य की लड़ाई में उनका योगदान तो अविस्मरणीय है, परंतु स्वतंत्रता के बाद भारत कैसा हो, भारत का जीवन किस प्रकार के तंत्र से चले, उसके बारे में विचार देने वाले हमारे जो उस समय के दार्शनिक नेता थे, उनमें उनका स्थान अग्रणी है। हिंद स्वराज में उन्होंने वह चित्र का रेखांकन किया है और सादगी, विनम्रता और प्रामाणिकता के प्रतीक, और जिन्होंने देश के लिए अपने प्राण अर्पण किए, ऐसे स्वर्गीय लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी, उनकी भी आज जयंती है। भक्ति, समर्पण और देश सेवा के ये उत्तुंग उदाहरण, व्यक्तिगत और राष्ट्रीय चारित्र कैसा होना चाहिए,
In Tamil Nadu, Navratri season and festivity is defined by golus, meaning display of dolls and figurines like the one you see here, more colorful and vibrant. And these golus are displayed at Sri Kanchi Mahaswami Vidya Mandir. But this time around, what makes it special? Let's see. Colourful rangolis depicting the many avatars of Durga. And basking in the festivities are the students who have travelled from Tirupati to celebrate the glorious 11 days of Navratri. But this year is special because gracing the school are the pontiffs of the Kanchi Mutt.
It's a proud moment that we all are here and we are studying the blessings of Paramacharya and our Periyava. We can't express the happiness which we have inside us. We are very happy and blessed.
Kanchi Mutt Senior Pontiff Sri Vijendra Saraswati Shankaracharya Swamigal and the Junior Pontiff Sri Satya Chandra Shekharendra Saraswati Shankaracharya decided to spend their Navratri at the Sri Kanchi Mahaswami Vidya Mandir. An event demonstrating the institution's role in religious and spiritual observances, specifically Navratri, which involves the worship of goddess during the 9 nights of this festival.
We are here from 10 days and we also done kolam to a particular day. Who is the speciality we have done daily. We are very happy because this is our first time coming to another state, celebrating Dasara for 10 days. We're staying out. It was a very
peaceful experience.
Yeah, it was peaceful. Very good positive vibes. We also have very nice exhibitions here to explore.
The choice of Vidya Mandir for their Navratri reflects a commitment to blending spiritual practices
with the educational and cultural activities associated with the institution, which is a part of the Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham.
Sri Matham, Sri Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham, and the Acharyas of Sri Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham have been camping at Chennai at Rajakirpakam in Mahaswami Vidyamandir School since September 20th and have been conducting Trikala Pujas towards the Lokakshemam, the world peace and happiness, especially during this festival of Navaratri. Navaratri is a very important 10-day festival which is very widely celebrated throughout our country in various parts in many different ways. That is the beauty of our festivals in our country, because it unifies all of us as one Bharat.
Special pujas were done for animals, including cow, elephant and horse, during the 11-day festivities as well.
Everything. We worship the elephant, we worship the horse, we worship the cows. Why do we have to worship animals? Why not just the human beings? Because we feel the universe has to be worshipped. Right? When we do the tarpana, stavare stavaran jangame tripyatham, we do the tarpana for everything that moves and immoves. That is the concept of Sanatana Dharma. That is because we call it as Chaitanya. There is Chetana. If not, it will not be created. Something created it, right? So there is a residual of the creation in every aspect, and that residue is Amba herself. That is the Shakti.
The Navratri, a comprehensive expression of Hindu religiosity, continues to bind together communities to advance peace and national integrity. With Purnima Murli, CNN News 18.
Hello everyone, I'm Kaveri Gupta and you're watching Thank God It's Friday, your ultimate weekend guide. You know the drill, Friday is here and so is your entertainment fix. So let's dive right in. First up in the theatres is Kantara Chapter 1. Rishabh Shetty returns with the much-awaited prequel to the 2022 blockbuster set deep within divine legends and age-old folklore. This film dives into the roots of the mystical world that captivated audiences the first time around. Next is the smashing machine Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt star in this intense sports biopic about MMA legend Mark Kidd. This film explores the fight inside and outside the ring, addiction, fame and fractured relationships. Fun fact, it got a 15-minute standing ovation at the Venice Film Festival. And catch the chaos, romance and full-on Bollywood madness in Sunny Sanskari Ki Tulsi Kumari. Starring Varun Dhawan and Janhvi Kapoor, this rom-com is all about an arranged marriage gone hilariously wrong thanks to meddling exes and some viral dance numbers. Now for all my fellow homebodies, let's take a look at what's new on the OTT. Streaming on Netflix is Genie Make-A-Wish. Love, fantasy and dark twists. A cold-hearted woman wakes a mischievous genie who just happens to be Satan. Can he prove humans are corruptible or will she break the curse? And on Netflix again is Shy. Cillian Murphy returns in this powerful drama based on Max Potter's novella. Set in a reform school in 90s England, Shy tells the story of a teacher and a troubled teen, both teetering on the edge. Next on Sony Live is 13th. Inspired by real events, this Sony Live original follows educator Mohit Tyagi's journey through India's cutthroat NEET and JEE coaching world. 13th explores second chances, educational reform and the burden of the dreams. Now if you're heading out, I've got some fun events too. Pepon is coming to Pune for Shami Mehfil tomorrow 8 p.m. onwards. Don't you dare miss it. And pure magic awaits for our friends in Bengaluru. The legendary Hariharan is performing live tomorrow at the Prestige Centre for Performing Arts. Well, that's a wrap. There's something more for everyone this weekend. I'll see you next Friday. Until then, stay entertained. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
संघ के कार्य के 100 वर्ष पूरे करने वाले और इस निमित्त वर्षभर संघ ने जो कार्यक्रम आयोजित किए हैं उनका सूत्रपात करने वाले इस विजयादशमी उत्सव के निमित्त हम सब एकत्रित लोगों के बीच में आज के हमारे प्रमुख अतिथि महोदय भूतपूर्व राष्ट्रपति जी आदरणीय रामनाथ जी कोविंद, विदर्भ प्रांत के माननीय संघ चालक जी, माननीय सहसंघ चालक जी, नागपुर महानगर के संघ चालक जी, उपस्थित अन्य अधिकारी वर्ग, परम श्रद्धेय संत वृंद, आत्मीय स्वयंसेवक बंधु, नागरिक सज्जन एवं माता भगिनी, यह वर्ष